Hello and welcome to this Lunch and Learn webinar. I'm Lisa Conway, Client Relationship Manager for Scotland at the Mining Remediation Authority, and I'm also delighted to be co-hosting this session today with Andrew Bussey from Johnson, Poole and Bloomer.
Morning, everybody.
So today we're going to be discussing the importance of supporting safe development across the coalfields. It's really crucial to have the right information and support when dealing with sites for development, especially with 11% of the UK on coalfield. At the Mining Remediation Authority, we're passionate about helping and supporting both our customers and the communities we serve to navigate the coalfields with confidence, so we do hope you enjoy today's session. We've got a mix of videos and Slido questions for you today, so please do get involved. I'll be kickstarting today's session by explaining a bit about us and our remit at the Mining Remediation Authority, and then I've got a couple of fairly recent case studies to share to really show you some of the work that the authority carries out. And I'll then run through our consultants report. Andrew's then going to run through a case study in Stirling, which will really shine a light on why he chooses this report for their customers. To mention as well, everyone is on mute, so please feel free to eat your lunch as we go through. And this session is also being recorded, so we'll send you a copy afterwards so that you can refer back to it. There's also a very short survey at the end as well, which is all anonymous, and it would be great if you could give us some feedback. This will really help us to provide a better webinar experience for you going forwards. So, firstly, to join Slido, if everyone could scan the QR code for me here on screen by opening your cameras on your mobile, and this will enter you into Slido so that you can answer the questions as we go through. So while you guys are doing that, I'll kickstart by running through some of the information about us. The Mining Remediation Authority is a public body sponsored by the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero, and we've been managing coal mining legacy on behalf of the government for the past 3 decades since 1994, with a strong mission in making a better future for people and the environment in coal mining areas. We use our skills to provide services to other government departments and agencies and commercial partners. And we also contribute to the wider environmental, social and economic priorities of the Scottish and Welsh governments. And we do this by sharing our knowledge and expertise to support them and our partners to create safer, cleaner, greener nations for us all. And whilst we manage the legacy of coal mining, more excitingly, we can use the past to help shape our future. We're exploring new ways to convert former coal mines into assets for local communities across Scotland, England and Wales, which is very exciting. To understand the potential for mine water heat, we released an interactive map viewer a few years ago, and this really shows the estimated mine water temperatures within the British coalfields, and this is something we're extremely excited about. You can use the legacy of coal mining to heat homes and businesses for the future. You can also use it for cooling. For all of you wine lovers out there, we work with Lanchester Wines in Durham, and they use the water from disused mines along with heat pump technology at the warehouses in Gateshead, helping to keep all the wine at temperature in an area of our business that continues to grow, working all towards our net zero objectives. So I've got some recent numbers for you here on screen, and these are from our annual reports and accounts, and this is to outline the sheer breadth of some of the work that the authority carries out in Scotland. If you did want to have a look at some of the wider work that we do in England and Wales, you can view our annual reports and accounts anytime, and this can be found via a Google search. So at the Mining Remediation Authority, we have a very clear purpose. We keep people safe and provide peace of mind. We protect and enhance the environment with the work that we carry out. And we use our information and expertise to help people like you make well-informed decisions. And this is through our coal mining reports and advisory services. Finally, we create value and minimise cost to the taxpayer. Throughout last year in Scotland, we carried out 1,831 mine inspections. This all forms part of our statutory obligations to keep mine entries safe. We determined 74 hazards and subsidence occurrences, and any coal mining hazards can be reported to us 24/7, 365 days a year, as public safety is a huge part of our remit. We delivered 54,659 coal mining reports. Our Coal Authority Con29M will be well known to you as they continue to provide confidence to the housing market. We provided 1,052 planning consultation responses as we're a statutory consultee for developments across the coalfields. We treated 31 billion litres of water, and this is to prevent pollution reaching our drinking water, the rivers and the sea. And we prevented 747 tonnes of iron solids from entering watercourses. And in a typical year, we treat a staggering 5.6 billion litres of water in total. So as you can see, our remit is vast, and the reason that the relationships we hold with our customers and the communities we serve is so important. So we're going to move on to our first question now. So how many recorded mine entries do you think there are across the Scottish coalfields? 84,000, 52,000, 23,000 or 9,985? That's fantastic. Thank you for that. So for those that answered 23,000 recorded mine entries, you are absolutely right. If mine entries are present, these are proactively managed by us at the Mining Remediation Authority, but anyone can request a mine inspection at any time if you suspect any ground movement. We will, however, inspect these regularly as part of our statutory obligations. Now, when we talk about mine entries, we have a full archive of historical coal mining records and plans here in Mansfield, Nottingham, and they've all been digitally captured and scanned so that we can provide coal mining reports to the likes of our customers, some of which are here today, helping to support safe, well-informed decisions. We also welcome customers for a look round of our archives. I mean, who doesn't love a good tour? Some of our plans date back to the 1800s, and they're all kept in a temperature-controlled room to preserve their condition. And it's a pretty fascinating place, so if anyone did want to ever come and see us, you only need ask and we can get that arranged for you. So on the theme of mine entries, I'll now share a couple of fairly recent case studies that we've got in Scotland. And thankfully, these are very few and far between, but just so you can see some of the work the authority carries out. So this one was a rather large mine shaft that happened in a field in Midlothian. It was 30 foot wide and 6 metres deep, and it was the landowner who spotted this one in December of 2018. Our regional teams responded quickly to this incident, putting fencing around it to secure the area, and this one was a result of historical coal mine workings. Now, coal mine entries in the UK come under the categories of shafts, which are vertical entries into the mine, and these are usually brick or more recently concrete lined, and these likely extend up several hundred metres. Adits are inclined entries or roadways into the mine, and where a mine entry has been remediated, the structure of the mine entry will often remain, and therefore development should be avoided above or within the proximity of the mine entry where possible. This spectacular image shows an unrecorded mine ventilation shaft, and this was flooded on the course at Bathgate Golf Club in Scotland last year. So this one was 30 metres deep and due to an unrecorded shaft. This had to be filled and capped, and the golf course is currently being returned to its original condition so that members can continue to use it safely. And this was a major project for our public safety and subsidence team, and one of hundreds that they deal with each and every year. Protecting the public and environment on the coalfield is a key responsibility for us at the Mining Remediation Authority. You can report a coal mining hazard to us 24/7, 365 days a year by calling 0800 288 4242. Our dedicated workforce collaborates with customers and partners to safeguard life, drinking water and the environment from the challenges of Great Britain's mining legacy. So, on to another question now. What percentage of Scotland's properties is on the coalfield? 27%, 51, 72 or 85? Very interesting. Thank you for that. So 51% of properties across Scotland is on the coalfield. So gaining comprehensive information about the coal mining legacy for the site in question is key. The coalfield stretches across the central belt of Scotland, so from Glasgow in the west to Edinburgh in the east, and this includes key coal mining areas such as Lanarkshire, Ayrshire and Fife. Now, if you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll know that confidence in the coalfields is our motto. And with our knowledge, the information we hold and the exceptional customer support that we can provide, our customers receive a seamless service with everything they need all under one roof. If anyone's ever unsure, you can contact our customer support and services team, and we'll be more than happy to support you with any questions you have. And I've popped a number there on screen for you. So when breaking ground and developing on the coalfields, lots of people still use a Coal Authority Con 29M. But what we actually need is a consultant's report. So I've got a little video now here that I did with Steve Meredith, who some of you may know, who works in our mining information team. And this is to really show you some of the key differences in our non-residential Con 29M report and our consultant's report for a site in Glasgow. Hello and welcome to a little video today in the archives where we're going to be explaining the key differences between a non-residential Con 29M and a consultant's report. So we found a really nice commercial building in Glasgow. So I'm going to draw around the commercial building. In this example, there is some mine entries within 20 metres of the commercial building footprint. So they have been highlighted there and they will show within your non-residential Con 29M.
The details of the mine entries, you'll get them shown on the plan with the report, and you will also get any treatment details for them if we hold it. Some other features of the Con 29M non-residential report, you will get a summary of the recorded underground workings beneath the property. So for example, it may say for this one that the site is within influencing distance of 3 seams of workings at 100 to 250 metres.
The report will also answer 14 of the Law Society approved questions. So they will be all answered as part of the report. And because this commercial building isn't changing, it's the non-residential report that you need. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at the same site, but this time we're going to be developing it. So first things first, you're going to need a much detailed report. The consultant's report looks at a much wider boundary for things like mine entries. It looks at 100 metres of that site boundary, so it will allow you to plan to see where those mine entries are.
Exactly, Lisa. So in this example, we've got 2 adits 50 metres to the north of the site, potentially running beneath the site we're looking to develop. So these wouldn't have been picked up by the non-residential report, but the consultant's report will not only show them on a large-scale plan, it will also give you coordinates for our best plotted positions for them. When it comes to the underground workings as well, instead of the summary that you get in the non-residential report, the consultant's report will give you a table showing seam names, the depth that they were worked, and the last date of working, which is much more useful for planning your intrusive investigations.
With the consultant's report as well, it will give you information on managed tips in the area, so that's something else that you would need to be aware of and plan for. And it will also give you mine water treatment schemes as well, so you get much more detailed information that will help you to plan out your site.
And yes, Lisa, I mean, we've just touched on a few elements of the consultant's report there. You'll also get detailed outcrop information with seam names and bearings, amongst a whole host of other information which will help you plan your development safely and properly.
So I'm going to move on now to some free resources which you may or may not be familiar with. So this is a screenshot of our interactive viewer if you wanted to have a high level look at mine entries and a whole host of other coal mining data for free. Now, there's several themes that you can view. You've got the planning theme, and this has all the layers that go into making the planning development high risk area. And this is really useful for potential development sites and residential extensions. Now, when it comes to mine entries, you can switch to the coal mining theme to explore the depths and diameters, if we have them, the mineral mined and even their departure. You can also see underground working outlines and seam levels. There is also a theme for mine water heat, which is a shared area with the Environment Agency. So all in all, a whole host of really useful mining data that's free for everyone to view. So be sure to check that out. So why the consultants report? This report has been designed by environmental consultants and geotechnical engineers to provide essential data and guidance on historical coal mining activity and the potential issues that could affect your client's site and surrounding area. Now, one of the great features of this report is its large-scale map, and this really comes in handy when developing a site, because you can see the risks as features in correlation to the site, and this can be found at the back of the report. So some of the features that you will see down the left-hand side there will include mine entries and adits, outcrops, geological faults, remediated sites and mine water treatment schemes, to name a few. And to note as well, this report reports on mine entries that are recorded within 100 metres as opposed to the 20 metres in the CON 29M. So for illustration purposes only now, we've got a little 3D model to show you of a site in Fifeshire so that you can really see some of the key coal mining risks to consider when you are developing a site.
Here we have a simplified workings model of an area of Fifeshire, and it shows you small houses at the surface, roads and railway with some field boundaries just for scale, so you can understand what I'm about to show you, the rest of it. Below the surface we have workings. These are the lighter and darker brown colours, and this is part of our digital database which requires maintenance and updates. The red dots are the recorded shafts we have in the area, and as you can see there's quite a large amount in areas where it's more rural. However, there are many in areas within urbanisation. Interestingly enough, the shafts we have, these were sunk down to access the workings, and there's quite a few pairs of them which would be sunk down, and the other would either be the return or supply air to the workings while they were being worked on. If we turn this around to the other side, what you can also see is the strata of the geology, essentially, because each multiple seam that was worked would then shallow up to the surface here and then deepen again off in this direction, showing a fold in the geology as they exposed and extracted the coal beneath the surface. And there are multiple shafts on this side accessing these workings.
So to make navigation easier, the report is divided into these key sections here on screen. Now, we know there's around about 23,000 recorded mine entries across the Scottish Central Belt. However, we estimate that a third of mine entries remain unrecorded. And this is because submission of abandonment plans wasn't legally required before 1872. Our records are constantly being updated, so daily in fact, and the consultant's report will confirm if the site in question has been investigated for any coal mining related issues before, and confirm if any remedial work has been carried out. Now, we believe it's vital to know when this was done and what materials were used for remediation, as mining methods some 50 years ago significantly differ from today. The report will also highlight whether any licenses or future mining activities are planned. Although these are very rare, there's definitely no mining taking place anytime soon, but we will always report on it. Additionally, the report outlines next steps and provides explanations of all the included information, but if anyone ever needs any help, you only need ask. Our report includes essential data on mining geology, such as mudstone, sandstone and siltstone, presented in a clear and easy to read table. You'll also receive key information such as past underground coal mine workings, probable unrecorded shallow workings, spine roadways such as subsurface roads at shallow depths, outcrops, so where coal reaches the surface, geological faults, fissures and break lines which can cause significant issues for developers, open cast mines and coal authority managed tips. We also report on seam information detailing location and thickness. And coal seams aren't uniform, they can vary in depth, thickness and angle, so understanding all of these factors is crucial. So on to another question now. What percentage of mine entries do you think we hold treatment details for? 76%, 51%, 20% or 36%? Fantastic, thank you. So those that answered 20%, you are absolutely right, and we include this information in our coal mining reports. However, just because we don't know how a mine entry has been treated, it doesn't mean it hasn't been. The fact that the treatment details are unknown is not unusual across the 176,000 odd recorded mine entries across the UK coalfields. Until the coal industry in Britain was nationalised in the 1940s, there was no central store to hold mining information. When a mine entry had finished working, the closure details of the mine entry treatment were agreed between the mine operator and the landowner. If a mine entry was truly untreated, it would still be open and visible, and most were filled with spoil from the colliery site at a time of abandonment, and many look like these two images here on screen when uncovered by scraping and trenching. We previously had no treatment details for both these shafts. The image on the left there, you can just make out the brick shaft lining, and the shaft had been filled pretty comprehensively with rubble from the colliery site. The shaft on the right wasn't brick lined, but it was clearly been filled with coal tailings from the colliery site, which contrasts sharply with the lighter bedrock. Now, in the vast majority of cases, the reality of an unrecorded mine entry is very different to the perception that old shafts are all void and lurking just below the surface. Next, the report provides details on any investigative or remedial activities that may have been conducted at the site, such as subsidence claims or surface hazard reports. And knowing the full history of ground conditions is essential when planning a development, as old wells or cesspits might be present. Before developing a site, it's also essential to check for any licenses or future mining activities. Now, while licenses are common, they often expire or have been revoked, so it's best to consult with us for clarity. Although mining in residential areas is rare, providing customers with the full picture is crucial for us. And to note, there's no mining taking place now these days, so we'll also confirm that to you as well, which will give you that peace of mind. Section 4 of the report is where you'll find further development advice, recommended reports or services, and also our contact details. There's also some really useful guidance on our website for you to have a look at. So you can find things on drilling and grouting, mine gas and its potential impacts, the permitting and licensing process, and mine water treatment schemes, including the potential for using mine water heat. And these all align with our net zero objectives. Section 5 covers data definitions, ensuring that all terminology is explained clearly. But if, like I said earlier, if you have any questions, please do get in touch. So I'm now going to hand you over to Andrew Bussey from Johnson, Paul and Bloomer, who's got a case study to share with regards to how they use our consultants report. So over to you, Andrew. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. As I said, I'm Andrew Bussey. I'm one of the directors at Johnson, Pool and Bloomer, and we are, as it says there, we are a multidisciplinary engineering and scientific consultancy. We undertake site investigations for geotechnical purposes, environmental purposes, contamination surveys, and we also look at mining and quarrying. And in fact, that is really our roots. We were established in 1844 by Henry Johnson, and and that was born out of the mining industry. Effectively, he was one of the first people to recognise that the underlying mine workings present within the UK, specifically this was in the Black Country at the start. He recognised the fact that these mine workings could affect future development, and started undertaking investigation works to determine this, and also to look at the impacts that the superficial deposits could also take. We operate throughout the UK. We've got 2 offices, one in here in Glasgow, which is where I am, and we've got another one down in Brierley Hill, down near Birmingham. Yeah, we are always here to help, if anything, and certainly, as I say, when it comes to mining, we've got a good history of this. So I think with that, we'll get into the case study, if you can move on. So as Lisa said at the beginning, this is a site near Stirling. We have a large site which is outlined with a red boundary on that top left drawing, but in reality, the area that we're focusing on is a subsection of that site, looking at the which is highlighted in the green boundary. So here in the top left, we've got the geological map, and in the bottom right, we've got the historical maps, which not only show the presence of several shafts and coal seams, but it's also mentioned, you can maybe just make out on the historical plan there that it's also noted as there's also old trial shafts. This is effectively because the site is bisected by a fault line, so this would have obviously disrupted the coal, and effectively what they've been doing here is they've been probing past that fault line to see if they can determine where the coal now lies. They've obviously excavated as much as they can. They've now hit solid rock because that coal has been disrupted, and they've continued to probe past it and sunk new shafts, some of which will develop into full shafts, some of which will be abandoned. But obviously that still means that they need investigated. So we'll look into the information that was required for this on the next slide. So here we've got a Coal Authority, the consultant's report. Now, as mentioned in the video, you can see that it gives quite an array of information. It gives a summary table of all the seams and associated collieries underlying your site, along with the potential depth to these workings, and also whether those workings are in fact underlying the site, whether they are to the east, north, etc., and the dip and the dip direction that these are worked in, and how much was extracted from the coal as well. And they also list all the various shafts that are within 100 metres of your site boundary. So here you can see even the difference here would be the difference between a Con 29M report and this Coal Authority Consultants report. If we only got the Con 29M, we would have maybe caught half of these shafts. Certainly the 3 furthest from that red line boundary there probably would have been missed off, and we would have had to go looking for them based on other historical information. But obviously the Coal Authority provides that information along with grid references, so it gives us a good place to start effectively to compare a lot of things to. So all this information allows us to begin site investigation, like planning out how to investigate this, and how to determine what is actually there, where it is, and how we can move forward with the client to allow them to safely develop this site. So if we go into the next slide, I think that'll help. So here we've got the actual plots. So as I said, we've obviously there's a lot of information historically. We get information from the Coal Authority, which gives us actual grid coordinates of where these shafts should be. Unfortunately, we then have to, well, unfortunately, when these were being plotted out back in the day, they didn't have the benefit of super accurate GPS and things that we do today. The engineers of the time did a great job, but there is potentially some discrepancy, and here you can see that where the green locations show the potential shaft location from the geology maps. The kind of pink purple locations show them from the mine plans. And that was from a different mine plan. The black one shows it from mine plans that we sourced, and then the blue one is from the coal authority locations. But you can see where, again, a lot of these start to correlate together, so you have a good idea of what shafts are present on site and what you need to investigate. So therefore, we need to determine which of these is the actual location, so that we can then see about treating that and also see how it will impact the future development, which is on the next slide. So here we planned out a mixture of trenching works and also using rotary investigations to determine the location of a lot of these works. So the made ground here was quite thick, so in some cases this made it very difficult to locate using trenching works, because effectively, as the pictures that Lisa showed, what you would originally look for is a kind of a cone of made ground, of rubble or brick, etc., where they have backfilled the shaft, because as Lisa with spoil, we have found shafts where they have effectively knocked the pit props and all these kind of things into. Rarely these are a true void, but in this case, because of the then thickness of made ground, of other rubble that had been used to upfill the site historically, it made it somewhat difficult. So we used a rotary rig. We found the majority of the shafts using these techniques, 5 and 7, which are very close to the edge of the site. We were unable to find, but given their proximity to the edge, and we normally account for a potential 10 meters of misplot on these shafts, we determined that these were probably underlying the road. Future investigations actually in the field adjacent to the site, again, have shown no real indication of them, maybe some minor indication, so we believe they are under the road. And the fourth shaft, we couldn't locate through either trenching or, in fact, rotary rigs. And we suspect that this has been a trial shaft and has never been developed into a true shaft, so it's actually very small and it's just been backfilled. So what we've then done is we've then come up with a draft plan to show either treatment of these shafts. The red ones below on the bottom right corner were treated that fully, so that involves essentially drilling into them, pumping them full of a mixture of grout, which is basically a mixture of fly ash, cement and water, until they are fully consolidated, and then placement of a concrete cap. Whereas the remaining shafts, where we couldn't locate these, the client has planned the development around them, and also installed geogrid netting at near surface, so that should there ever be an incident in the future, such as 5 and 7, obviously we believe these are in the road, so should there ever be an incident in the future, then essentially a collapse wouldn't impact anybody. There wouldn't be any danger to life. It would only be a small cleanup operation effectively. And that is basically us. That's Johnson, Poole and Bloomer. Through that, this development is actually now underway. We have, so they're constructing houses there, and that site is able to be used now, and the chances of collapse from underlying mine workings, mine shafts, etc., has been negated. This has all been signed off with working with the Coal Authority, or Mining Remediation Authority as it's now known, sorry. And that's allowed that site to be brought back into use effectively. Therefore, that, as I say, that means that development can now be used rather than just lying as derelict land. Okay, and I think with that, I will hand you back over to Lisa.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Andrew. That was a really interesting case study. So we're coming to the end of our webinar today. So if you don't already, please do follow us across our social media channels, and this will really allow you to see some of the latest work that the Mining Remediation carries out. We also have a monthly communication that we send to all of our customers as well. So you can sign up by scanning the QR code there on screen. And we also share like a Mining Mythbuster video series, which can be accessed via YouTube, which answers some of the questions that our customers ask us. So please do subscribe. So that brings us to the end of the session. Thank you so much for taking part. Both Andrew and I really hope that you've taken some value from the session today. As I mentioned at the start, we really would love some feedback if you'd be so kind to really help us to provide you with better webinars going forward. So if you could scan the QR code for me there on screen, there's just a few very short questions. And like I say, if anyone does have any questions for us following this session, please email them in to customer service at miningremediation.gov.uk, and we'll be sure to answer your questions and help where we can. So just in time as well, thank you so much, and we hope to see you again soon. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Thank you.